Hi, I'm your host Vasco Duarte. Welcome to the Scrum Master Toolbox podcast, where we share tips and tricks from Scrum Masters around the world. Every day, we bring you inspiring answers to important questions that all Scrum Masters face day after day. Hello everybody, welcome to our Team Tuesday, this week with Helen Garcia. Hi Helen, welcome back.
Hi, thanks so much for having me back.
Absolutely. So Helen, today's Team Tuesday, and as usual, we start first with the question about the book that potentially most influenced you in your career as a Scrum Master. So let us know what that book was and why that was so influential.
Okay, it's my favourite bit. I have gone with Coaching Agile Teams with Lyssa Adkins. This book has really changed the way I view things and changed the way I have grown from somebody who's been in this project management role through to being a Scrum Master. It's got so many relatable stories in it. Lyssa, I believe herself, has come from a project management background, and there was just so many situations where I thought, oh yeah, I totally get that. And she talks about basically how to develop, as it says, how to coach Agile teams, how to become a better coach yourself. There is a difference between a Scrum Master and an Agile coach. And she also talks about how you can't, how it's hard, and it should be hard if you're a great coach to measure those outputs, because you're guiding the team in a sense, and you're not, having those tangible outputs, but you're there and able to get the best out of the team. So letting them find that way. It's always on my desk. I've got 101 little post-it notes in there to remind me. So, yeah.
Absolutely. A great book and a great recommendation. Helen, now we turn our attention to the teams and how sometimes they become their own worst enemy. So tell us a story of a team, introduce us to their context, their little universe, and then also walk us through how that behavior or pattern of behavior emerged that ultimately led to problems.
Yeah. Okay. So I worked with a team who, great. They were driven, but they had a fear of speaking up, a fear of challenging the status quo. Part of that, I think, was because it was led by somebody who also feared change and feared being challenged as well. So I bring this up as self-destructive because if we don't speak up about things that are not right, or if we don't challenge the way that we're working as Agile teams and within our Agile mindset, it can be destructive, because all that will happen is that we'll go along the same pattern of things, the same way of delivering perhaps in a more linear fashion, but yet maybe delivering things that don't actually fit for our customers, or don't fit for the team. You want to hear all the voices, you want to be able to work in a collaborative way. And this team failed in a sense of people were leaving. There was a quote, I say a quote, when I actually finally left myself because it just became a very toxic environment within the team, one of the leads there said, we should get an award for having the highest turnover within a team. And I think all of that could have changed, because if people started to have challenged the status quo, started to question things more often, not in a rebellion type way at all, but just doing it in a way of actually, is what we're doing actually meeting the needs of our customer? Is everything that we provide of value? Are we building a team that is a strong team? All these questions that we can ask one another. But instead of this, it was just we'll just accept it. This is what we're being told to do, and therefore we'll do it. So challenging that way of thinking, and actually saying, you know what, this isn't quite right. Yeah, and I saw that as self-destruction in itself.
Absolutely. For me, the thing that sticks from this story is not necessarily that they weren't speaking up. Of course, that's part of the whole pattern that you observed. But it's the fact that the environment wasn't conducive to the team developing themselves becoming a better team, yet they didn't pay attention to that. I don't know if that's how you saw it back then when you were in that context, but for me, what sticks is this perhaps lack of care about our own ability to grow and become a better team that can lead to problems in this case because they didn't speak up, but there could be other reasons, right? So for me as a Scrum Master, I always want to put a lot of attention into how the team is developing itself, not only the product, right? So relationships within the team, relationships with stakeholders, making sure we've got the right gear, because, if you're missing the right gear, then of course the team will suffer and they'll have to generate a lot of wasted energy just to overcome that. So that's what stuck from this story in my mind. How about you, Helen? What do you want our listeners to take away as the main takeaway from this story?
Yeah, the main takeaway, I think it's a really good point. It's not just about speaking up about things, but I think encouraging the team as well to be, self-managing, but also being bold, being strong, and wanting to be able to grow and bond as a team. Because I think actually it's funny you pick up on that, because it was a great team. Like, there were so many great qualities within that team, but it was this, stagnant behavior. So don't also, as a Scrum Master, have nerves within that environment to be like, you know what, let's try something different. Let's experiment with something. It may be a bit of a shock at first for the project itself, or for the team or lead or whoever it might be. But you know what, that's okay. Like, if we don't experiment and we don't try and respond to changes in our environment, then we'll just be staying in the same place. So I encourage people, and if I were to do it differently as well, to actually go in and say, you know what, like, let's think about this. First have that helicopter view, first have that observation, and then making small incremental changes to the way that we're doing that. And perhaps, running even a retrospective in a way that brings out and surfaces some of the problems, and looking at that and seeing the way we can change and make things better. And just pointing out as well, Vasco, I think what I've done as well is think about it as a fear of speaking up, when actually maybe that as well is something that I've labelled that wasn't necessarily right, and it also sort of put a wall in between being able to develop a team that actually brought value, and that would have and could have and probably is on their journey of becoming more high performing. So
yeah, absolutely. A great story. Thank you for sharing that, Helen.
Yes, pleasure. Thank you.
Tuesday is Team Day here on the Scrum Master Toolbox podcast. But tomorrow we talk about something that goes beyond the work we do with the teams. We will talk about how to lead change and what our guests have learned from leading and participating in change programs during their career. See you tomorrow. We really hope you liked our show. And if you did, why not rate this podcast on Stitcher or iTunes? Share this podcast and let other Scrum Masters know about this valuable resource for their work. Remember that sharing is caring.